Hey everyone, so in this video we're just going to talk about this question here. What digital marketing strategy should I use to grow from $100,000 to 1 million in annual revenue? So this question, when you first read it as a marketer, I said all of them, right? What strategy should I use? Anything that you can to get to that, if that's your goal, right? To get to $1 million a year. But in reality, as a true SEO professional, it depends, right? So it varies depending on what industry, what channels work for your type of business. So here it doesn't give us a lot of information, so we can't really say what would be the best strategy, right? But let's say there's a difference between, let's say, national business like an e-commerce store that you could sell anything in the US, and a local business which just works in, let's say, this area or these couple cities. So I'm gonna give you an example of both. So for e-commerce, so let's just cover this right now. For e-commerce, let's say in e-commerce you have your channel is Facebook ads, Google ads, right? So your channel is just basically how you're generating that initial revenue. If that's working for you in e-commerce, you could do something like let's say, okay, so let's do e-com, right? And our e-com channels are the ones below. Okay, Google ads, Facebook ads. So if we're doing this, if you're already generating 100,000 a year, and let's say you're spending $1,000 a month on ads, you could literally just test. It could be as easy of just increasing that $1,000 a month to 10,000 a month, and that could, in theory, generate $1 million in revenue. But you don't really know until you test some of those ads and see if there's enough traffic, enough volume of people looking for your product, right? So now let's move on to a local service, local business, which is the majority of clients I work with. A service, let's just put local business. All right, so for a local business, it's a little bit different because you could run out of people. Let's say you only want to work in a certain area, there's only a certain amount of people there, and then there's competition. Yeah, so you could run into something, let's say local ads or local SEO, right? So these are your channels. So when you're doing this, let's say you're running Google ads, you could run into something called diminishing returns. So let's say you just work in one city and that's the only city you want to work in. So how do you get from 100,000 to 1 million? Let's say, oh, you're here, right? You're growing. Every $100 you spend, you make, let's say, 150 back or 200 back. So you get to this point of diminishing returns where no matter how much money you spend on top of what you were already spending, your returns are going to keep going down. So you could run into this when it's a local service business or local business because you only have a finite amount of people in your area. That's something to consider when you're running ads. Let's say if you run $100 and you get 150 back, then next month you run $200 and you only get 160 back. That's where you get this negative return. The more money you spend is not going to generate a bigger point of profit. It's actually going to start decreasing until your return is you're just making the money back. Okay, so that's a problem that you can run into. And in e-commerce, it can happen too if your product is very unique and there's only a certain amount of people that will actually purchase that. You can run into something similar here. And this is because, let's say this is the example of using one channel, right? Now when you're using multiple channels, that's when that will help. And but you can still run into the same issue where, say, your audience is just not big enough to get to that point. So what's the other answer? It would be either expand service area, right? So that's one thing that you can do if you want to reach that goal of $1 million in revenue. And let's say your channel was Facebook or Google ads and you already maxed it out and you're not seeing any more, you've reached the point of diminishing returns, right? So the other thing you could do is expand your services or service. Let's say you add an additional service. With that, you could, with the same audience, you could generate twice the revenue. So those are two things that you can do when it comes to local businesses. Because yeah, the population size is a factor, and that's something that will generate diminishing. You'll get to the point of diminishing returns when you're running ads or these kind of things. And when you, let's say for example, Yelp, once if there's not enough volume in the city you want to show up in, they start expanding out to other cities because of the same thing. There's not enough volume there for you to get leads. So, and leads are just prospects, potential customers that want to use your service. So yeah, I hope this helps you guys and kind of understand that you gotta first know what channel works for your business, and you could push that channel to the point of diminishing return. Then you could do these other two things, which is expand service area, or add another channel you could use. And once again, channel is like whether it's you're going through Facebook, you're going through Instagram, you're running Google ads, Yelp ads, that kind of thing. So then these other two things that you could do if you get to that point of diminishing returns. Yeah, and I mean, $1 million in a bigger city is not, it's not, sounds weird, but it's not that much because there's businesses that do $1 million a month. But you could run into this in smaller cities, smaller areas. All right. So I hope this helps you guys. And yeah, that's it.